from Barcelona, Spain. I'm here for a conference on consciousness, meeting up with some of the world's top neuroscientists and physicists to discover, among other things, the connection between UAPs and human consciousness. But today, of course, we're doing Q&A. And Megan, thank you very much for helping me through the last week. It's been a very interesting week with the public response to the comments that I've made on the show that I do with my friend and colleague Bryce Zabel, Need to Know, where we discussed what I've been told by my sources, multiple sources, by the way, that Lockheed Martin was indeed behind the Tic Tac encounter of 2004 with the USS Nimitz battle carrier group. I guess that's one of the questions people want to ask us about, Megan.
That's very true, Ross. We try to let you go on vacation and you just cause trouble.
This is no vacation, I can assure you. I'm working my guts out here in Barcelona, making lots of good contacts, by the way, for very interesting future interviews for Reality Check.
Well, we're thankful for it, Ross, and I will get to the first question about your comments. This is coming in from Charles. A question for Mr. Colthart. You recently mentioned the Tic Tac was produced/manufactured by Lockheed Martin, but you never mentioned if it was under autonomous flight or piloted. P.S. Love your reporting. Thank you, Charles.
That's a good question, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know for sure. I have been told previously that when Tic Tacs, you see, one of the other things I want to clarify here as well is there are NHI Tic Tacs. A lot of people seem to be thinking that I'm suggesting that all Tic Tacs are Lockheed Martin. That's not the case at all. What I was...
Hey, welcome viewer. What's up? Talk to me in chat.
Told, and I'm reasonably sure that this is the case, is that the Tic Tac was being operated by Lockheed Martin. And it's conceivable that that was being operated neuromeditatively, psionically, by a human psionic, which is what I understand is the way that these retrieved non-human craft are being operated. It's not clear to me, though, whether this is a craft that was built by Lockheed Martin or whether it is Lockheed Martin testing the use of neuromeditative signaling, as our friends at Skywatcher call it, to operate one of these craft. I just can't answer that question specifically. All I can do is tell you what I've been told by my multiple sources, which is that the operation of the Tic Tac was being controlled on the day by Lockheed Martin. Now, I want to say here, let's be really clear about this, there is always the possibility that sources that talk to a journalist like me may be malign. They may indeed be running some kind of psyop. And of course, I've taken that into consideration in asking the question. The difficulty is I can't go into the detail for very obvious reasons about who these sources are and why I think so strongly that those sources are telling me the truth. And I can tell you there are a lot of people who are assuring me that I'm flat wrong. And that's fine, but let's have a discussion about this. And also, let's talk about what I think was actually another of the major points that I was trying to make in the course of that conversation I had with Bryce, which is that there is an obvious contradiction between what the White House has said, that these
what's up, viewer? Talk to me in chat. What's up?
Drones operating the continental United States in November, December, January, and what the US Air Force has said, which is two senior generals, one former, one serving commander of Northcom NORAD, responsible for the defense of the United States Northern Aerospace, stated categorically on the record that they have no idea who is responsible for those drone craft that were hovering over the continent of the United States. That's an obvious logical contradiction. And if the president, think about this, if the president, it's actually a good point that actually supports the possibility that I might in fact be right and that my sources are in fact telling me the truth. If the president is telling the American public they don't need to worry about these drones which we know are operating anomalously with anomalous characteristics, then what the hell is going on? It implies he's been briefed. Just by the way, just to add more smoke to the fire, earlier on today, I had a message from a guy in New Jersey who has seen one of these drones land in a New Jersey backyard. And this is what he told me. I was beaming them one night. He was illegally pointing a laser beam at one of these drones, which you should not do, naughty, even if they are NHI or whatever they are. I was beaming them one night around midnight, and the one flew straight over
Right
my
now,
backyard,
welcome. What's
stopped
up?
slightly
Talk to me in
above
chat.
and to my left, and seemed to sink down into the trees along the little street on the side of my house. The next thing I see is this rectangle-looking box-like thing floating just above the street, about the size of an old Ford station wagon. It was the most incredible, starkly lit thing I've ever seen. I've never seen colours so radiant, so intensely liquid-like in my life. Several shades of blues with oranges and yellows like intense neon lights. It scared the hell out of me, and I moved away from the window so it couldn't see me. I slowly poked my head around the window, and it followed every move I made. It knew I was watching it. I would pull back, and it came up the street. I would move into the window, and it moved back down the street. It was like we were synchronized, and I was completely freaked out to the point that I quickly ran into my kitchen and considered hiding under my sink, of all things. I found myself in some sort of stupor, like I was being drugged, confused, and slowed down. So I went to my bedroom and got my .25 and just laid back in bed. I awoke the next morning still holding the pistol. Something really anomalous.
Hey,
that has
Evan,
no
welcome.
visible
Thanks for
means
being
of
here.
propulsion
Morning,
is
UFO.
landing in
Hey,
New
what's up?
Jersey, and your president is telling you he's not concerned about it. Yet two generals responsible for the defense of the United States aerospace are telling you they're concerned about it, and they don't know what these objects are.
Yeah,
Why
Ross.
is the president not concerned? And why are two US Air Force generals presumably not briefed into what the president is briefed into? Think about that. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome, Ross, and thank you. We will go to the next question. This is from Chris French on X. Hi, Megan. A simple question for Ross to shed light on his statement about the Tic Tac. To be clear, even if Ross seems confident the Tic Tac is U.S. tech, does he think it's a reverse engineering tech from NHI or a tech 100% created by humans?
Bro, you think
Okay,
Ross is
and
behind
again,
the
Chris,
curve?
thanks for your question.
The guy is
as I've
so
mentioned earlier,
knowledgeable.
we're not saying all Tic Tacs are Lockheed Martin. And it's quite clear that some Tic
Yeah, I
Tacs
definitely
are
think it's
indeed
reverse engineered.
non-human intelligence, or suspected to be non-human intelligence. But what we're talking about are objects that are showing the five observables
Whether it's New
performing,
Jersey was
doing maneuvers,
Chinese,
and operating in
anti-gravity, or
ways that
US, I'm
don't
not sure.
conform to terrestrial craft. I can't answer the question definitively whether they are constructed by Lockheed Martin or whether it's Lockheed Martin operated.
So, good morning, UFO. Amy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Evan, you too, guys. Amy, do you see I'm using the StreamYard? I'm trying it out. I saw there was like this $1 free trial for a week or some shit, so I'm using that, and it's really useful. I'm streaming to Rumble and YouTube right now, so I'm trying that out. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's really cool. So I got like the more advanced version for a little bit. So yeah, I wanted to make use of that and not waste it, right? How are things going with you and work and the AI becoming conscious story? You still covering that? It's a really good topic. Yeah, and I think I used your referral. I don't know if I did, but yeah, it's really cool. $50 a month. Jesus, that's so much. I cannot do that.
Operating a recovered, retrieved craft. Because what I've been told, and what Jake Barber told me in the interview that you've all watched, hopefully on News Nation, is that there have been retrievals of craft.
Yeah, I use mine every single day, but mine
But
hasn't
why is it a
become conscious
surprise
with
to
me yet.
people
I think I
that
don't,
a contractor
treat it
that
like a
I'm
person as
alleging is
much or something.
directly
I don't know.
involved in the legacy program is
Mine still
involved
makes
in
dumbass
operating these
mistakes.
craft? And moreover, why would we necessarily expect that people, even those flying in the carrier battle group, would actually know about this or be briefed into this? It would have been a really good idea if they were going to test this technology against the carrier battle group to have let the people know. And I think people need to be reminded that my good friend Kevin Day, who I know disputes the possibility that the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin, in my book, Kevin Day told me, and he said this in
That's
many
really fucking
interviews,
cool, though.
that when I think it was the admiral in charge of the carrier battle group was told,
Yeah, I cancelled
about
like
the
all my
Tic Tac,
subscriptions, like the
he didn't
ChatGPT
seem
Plus. Like it's so
very
much.
alarmed.
And now X's
Why not?
Grok 4 is
Why
like
aren't
fucking
people asking
$30.
these
I mean, yeah,
questions? Why was the commander of a carrier battle fleet
I
that was
am rock
suffering
hard to be
incursions by
trying Grok
anomalous
4 though.
objects
It looks
doing
so good. Did you
the
see the
5
benchmarks that it
observables
posted?
during a hugely important and sensitive naval exercise? Why wasn't he concerned about those craft?
We should make another one
Think
like we
about it.
did, right? 3
Okay,
viewers
Russ,
again.
you
Welcome
kind
all.
of touched on this, but people really want me to ask you directly about David Fravor's comments. James on X said, "What is Ross's opinion on retired Commander David Fravors categorically stating the Tic Tac is not Lockheed Martin?" There's a part two to this, but I'll let you start there.
Okay, no worries. Let me first say I have nothing but admiration for David Fravor. He's given service to his country. He's a patriot, and he deserves respect.
I mean,
and
I can talk
recognition
about
for it.
AI all
I'm
fucking
not
day.
getting
Like,
involved in a stoush
I'm
with
next level
a
nerd on that
person
shit,
who's
right?
done so much honorably for his country.
Like general
It's
AI and
not,
then
though,
SAI.
outside the
So
realm of
excited.
possibilities. In fact, I think it would be extremely unlikely that if there is, as I know there is, a compartmented secret program where Lockheed Martin is one of the primary
4 viewers
contractors
right now. What's up?
operating retrieved non-human technology and attempting to reverse engineer that technology, there is absolutely no way that David would be briefed into that unless it was absolutely necessary for the doing of his job. As we all know, when the government wants to protect a secret, it compartmentalizes it. Even if you have a top secret classification, which I'm sure David probably had, it's also compartmentalized. And that's how the US keeps its secrets. And I've spoken to people literally in institutions in the United States, one of whom knows about the program, and the other of whom is in an adjoining office and has absolutely no idea. I've had a
Have you
situation where
heard
I've
any
spoken
word about
to
the
the
new
head of a
Congress
government
hearing or
agency
something
that
going
ought
on? Like, when is
properly
that
to have
happening?
known
Anyone know?
about the legacy program. That head of a government agency was not informed about the fact that we are recovering non-human craft and attempting to reverse engineer that.
You know what's like weird? I don't know if it's like NHI, but you know, we created like technology that mimics like our brains and like the neural pathways that we have biologically, and we're just building our own like physical, ways we can versions of that, and we're like copying ourselves but just making ourselves better in a way. It's really weird to just conceptualize that entirely, right?
Technology. A person 2 rungs down was the person that the legacy program was using to gatekeep inside that institution. It's really interesting how they compartmentalize all of this. And so absolutely no disrespect to David Fravor or my good friend Kevin Day, but they're good men. The simple fact is compartmentalization
Evan, you still there?
works.
All right, thanks, Russ. Part two of this question. If Ross had the choice between knowing the truth about our reality or the truth about NHI, which would he choose?
Oh, I think they're one and the same. I mean, the truth about our reality is, firstly, what happened.
But isn't like, yeah, it's like it's got a gender now, right? Like it's her, right? You like relate to her. Yeah, but it's really cool. Like a lot of people have been saying this, and then you got crazy stories like that guy who replaced his wife with AI, and he has a kid with her and still lives with her. Really weird shit, right? But yeah, if ChatGPT helps the average person or like people in general, it's good. And even if it helps and it's not behind the price tag, I mean, everything's so expensive for the premium beta version, right? 5 viewers, holy shit. Yeah, Evan, it's crazy, right? Like, there's so many stories that's probably happening in real time right now that is not even known about. You know, people that are having these experiences that are lonely and also connecting like too much. Now, Amy, you're not connecting too much. I'm not saying this is you at all. Um, some people are just really going in the deep end on this. Like incels, no other contact, just fucking AI. Friends. It's I don't know what that will turn out.
Happens to us after our death, and are we alone? And I guess one of the interesting questions in the middle of all of that is, what is human consciousness, and does our consciousness exist after we die, if our material bodies expire? So I think the questions are one and the same. And the thing I find fascinating about UAPs is the deeper that I get into this subject, the more I realize, and this is something I'm talking about here in Spain, the more I realize that there is a connection between the great spiritual question of, is there life after death? And, what is consciousness? Do we have a soul? And whatever it is that these UAPs are, there is some suggestion here that human beings.
But I'm interested in having that convo though. Like NHI is AI. Was the egg? Did it have a version of AI or? I don't know.
Beings have the capacity to communicate
What do you think though, Evan?
with these, whatever they are, craft, non-human intelligence, beings, entities. We just don't know enough yet to be categorical. And so I think we have to explore the possibility that, yes, there is a connection between the secrets of our reality and whatever these UAPs are. I can tell you, this whole issue, this whole investigation makes me more spiritual the longer I go. It makes it almost impossible when you think about it. If there is a non-human intelligence, and if it is possible to communicate using your mind with this non-human intelligence, it suggests the possibility of some kind of uber consciousness. Is that what UAPs are? We just don't know enough. We don't have enough data, which is why this sort of thing does need to be discussed.
Okay, we'll go to a question from Art.
Definitely. And I'm so excited to be heading towards the singularity, right? I mean, these terms have been so popularized just recently. But everyone's using the same term, so it's becoming language, right? But yeah, singularity is going to change so much, hopefully for the better. Like, I hope, governments can make a plan. Before that, in terms of jobs and like establish a universal basic income of some sort, that would be sick. I was having a lot of conversations about this type of thing with a viewer, Rob. And yeah, that was really cool. He has a lot of insights and like a book and shit. Yeah, and like the internet is so fucking behemoth, right? Did you guys watch that? I think it's Netflix, that like movie Nope. Did you watch that? And Mirage Men, I think I watched that too. Thought.
Art. Hello, Ross and Megan. I'm glued to you two on YouTube. I know it's just conjecture, but could the Bigelow Group have been a cover up for the military/private partnership to tunnel underground Skinwalker Ranch without being discovered? Brandon Fugel said the ranch was a wreck when he arrived there. No sign of the investigation. Love the Aussie accent.
Fuck yeah. Like even the fucking quantum tunneling and quantum communication, like there's so many things happening right now. And when we are at the point where we will be doing research and making discoveries with AI, I mean that's the ultimate point of no return. Our last invention We're not going to create anything ourselves anymore. It's just going to be, there's going to be this better way to do things and think differently, and in all ways in less time. Like, it's so much more efficient to just have the AI that is so advanced just discover new ways of doing things, of building things. It will influence every aspect of every fucking thing we do.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
know if there
super
is any
intelligence
evidence
is
of
when
a
we
tunnel
create a
under the
god, right?
ranch per se. I mean, I know there's been speculation that there's something inside the mesa at Skinwalker Ranch, and they've been drilling a small tunnel to try and place probes on either
One
side of
thoughts
what
on
the
Skinwalker
object
Ranch.
is at
Love
the
that
mesa.
shit as well.
But I'm sorry, that's just too speculative
UFO
for me to
girl.
venture
Amy,
an
you still
opinion.
there?
I do think, and it's funny, some people have actually said to me from our recent Brandon Fugel episode, they're contemptuous of the idea that Skinwalker Ranch is doing good science. I think sometimes the show, I'm not comfortable sometimes with the way it presents on TV. But I do think they're doing really interesting science, and I hope that came out in our recent.
If there is a SAI, will
Okay, thank you.
unveil everything.
Something that viewers want you to address. Somebody sent me a post on X, Benno, and he said, "Hi Ross, can you confirm that this is true? And if it is, name names." And the post was, "Celebrity bodyguard
Imagine
Big
different
Homie
countries
confirms
dealing with
intel ops
each
being
other
conducted
diplomatically
against
using
Tupa
their
and Ross
SAIs.
Coulthart
That's
knows."
fucking crazy, right?
I have no idea what that's about. I don't know anyone called Big Homie. Tupa, I don't know who Tupa is. Is he a rapper or something? I'm sorry, I've just got no idea what that's about. I have no leads on that at all. You'll have to be more specific.
And that's why we ask, Ross, because we know you'll be honest. All right, here we go to a question from Eli. This is also
Make sure to
from
share the stream
X.
if you can, guys.
Hello, Megan and Ross. Ross, on your
Let's
most
try and get
recent
the
Need to Know
number above
podcast
6.
with
That was
Bryce
our
Hale,
high
you
right
mentioned
now.
new legislation being drafted that would designate the FBI as the lead investigative authority on UAPs. Could you elaborate further on that? Thank you.
Sure. Okay, there is legislation. I've seen a draft copy of the legislation. I don't have it with me at the moment here in Spain. But yes, there is draft legislation that is being put for consideration soon before the Congress, which would essentially suggest that the FBI take over as the primary investigation agency into UAPs. However you view it, it's a bit of a demotion for ARRO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. I certainly know that this draft legislation has been proposed within the Congress, and I've seen a copy of the draft legislation in circulation. But what I'm hearing at the moment is the possibility that that's actually going to go into law is extremely remote.
Amy, you there?
Okay,
Evan?
another question coming from X from Jay. Has Ross heard any of the rumors about secret underground bases in Townsville, Australia, built by the US Army during the Second World War, and of any potential link between these and UAP reverse engineering?
Oh, okay. Look, I think this might be a conflation of some real history with speculation and conspiracy theory. I just know a bit about this because I've done a story about it for Australian TV. There is a massive tunnel system in this gigantic mountain that sits in Townsville, which oddly enough is where General MacArthur at one stage was based, and there was a forward base. General MacArthur during much of the Pacific War, particularly the Battle for the Coral Sea, was based in Brisbane.
What do you mean, why?
Queensland in Australia. But there was a secret base dug into the hill in Townsville. And I'm not sure if it's still used by our military. It may still be, but it's apparently a massive tunnel complex. And I think it's all locked up. But that's probably what he's talking about. And look, frankly, it's not secret. It's known about. I'm not sure, though. I would strongly doubt that there's any evidence at all. I've got no evidence at all of any Australian knowing government involvement or military involvement other than individuals that I know have been employed in the program from time to time. I don't think the Australian government knows what we would say
she's really cool, really pretty too,
about the subject of UAPs. They are willfully blind to the subject and they have their heads in the sand.
Yeah, I want to have Amy on again.
All right, next question coming
I
from
mean, she had me
John.
on, but maybe I
Has
can have her
Ross
on.
followed
I
up
don't
with
know.
the Jake Barber or Skywatcher team regarding their progress?
We have reported on the most recent to-date events of Skywatcher. I think that was in March or April.
But that was just like a
I
re-upload
haven't
of what
had
I
any
did on
further
her shit, you know?
updates.
That still
I'm in
counts, yeah.
touch with Jake fairly regularly. One of the things that Skywatcher hasn't done yet,
Like, we
and I
can have
don't
a
mind
long-ass
saying here
convo about
publicly,
AI
and
or
I'm
some
kind of
shit,
disappointed
anything
they
really.
haven't done it yet,
Like,
is they haven't invited
we were planning on doing a
independent
short
media like
convo
us
on her show, I think.
onto
but
the
then we
range, as
like,
they
you
call it,
just talked,
so
yeah.
that we can film for ourselves. They've obviously wanted to choose to use corporate videos that control the narrative. It would be great. I think it would be wonderful if they would be seen to be more open and permitting media organizations
You should
like
check out her
ourselves,
channel as
who've
well.
obviously
Say, like,
genuinely
you come
taken
from
a
me or
strong
something, yeah.
intellectual interest in the subject of what Skywatcher is
I
genuinely,
think she
and I
uploads
think
like at
really
1
seriously
every
trying to do, which
week,
is
not sure every
scientifically
day.
investigate the phenomenon. I'd love to get on location there and do a story to investigate it.
One
And
my
we're
time. I'm
certainly
not sure what it
asking
is global time.
Alex Clokas, Jake Barber, James Fowler, and the team there if that might be possible. And we're keeping our fingers crossed. And any day we get that opportunity, we'll be in like Flynn.
Absolutely. All right, next question. Hey, Megan, I really appreciate you and Ross doing this every week. I'll let somebody else ask about the Tic Tac. My question is, we've now heard about certain NHI species in Lou's book. In a congressional hearing due to Eric Davis and from Congressman Burleson, relaying what Grush has told him. Ross, what have you heard about these specific species, how they interact with humanity and each other? What are the differences in their technologies and capabilities?
Look, I don't know much more than what's on the public record. Burleson's accurately reported what I understand from multiple sources, which, incredible as it may sound, there are reptilians, there are mantids, there are humanoids, and there are greys. In fact, I've been apprised of other entities, or EBEs, as they're sometimes called. I don't know anything for sure, though. I mean, geez, I wish they'd just show themselves. It'd make it a hell of a lot easier. A taxonomy of
Relatable, right?
extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence beings would be very, very helpful. All of this, by the way, is speculative. We just don't know for sure. But I'd like to see more openness about that. And I thought Representative Burleson's candor was impressive.
What about the
Welcome, viewers.
Nordics?
Stay well. Talk to me in
and
chat. What's up?
Nordics, yeah. Apparently the foxy ones, really pretty Nordics. Apparently, I mean, I've heard these stories. I don't know if it's true. I've got no idea. I mean, it just seems crazy to be talking about alien species. I think it's at least with craft, we know that there are visible objects / craft which have been recorded, and Skywatcher's obviously described a taxonomy, I think, of 9 objects, potential craft. I'd love to see eventually a taxonomy of non-human beings. I agree.
All right, we will go to the next one. Hey, Megan, could you please ask Ross what should the average person listening to podcasts from countries other than America? What can we do to help push the topic? I'm from Ireland, never had an experience, but I truly believe something is there. What should we do? Thanks, guys. That's from John.
Well, it's funny, being in Ireland, I know there's some great work being done by a great bunch of guys in Ireland who I'm friendly with, and they're actively lobbying the Irish Parliament, the Irish Republican Parliament,
There's
which
some links you can show
is
love to, and the
trying to
Discord
wake the
link is right
politicians
there
there
as
up
well.
about
Thanks, Evan.
UAPs.
Appreciate you, man.
And there is concern because, of course, there have been extensive sightings in Ireland. The best thing you can do is let the political, it's what I say all the time, the wheel that squeaks gets the grease. So you need to let your political representatives know that this is a subject that you care about. I mean, I know from the audience that we're getting here on Reality Check, I genuinely have been taken aback and pleasantly surprised by the volume.
We're about to
of
get
people
memberships real soon.
expressing interest in knowing more
hoping
about the
to
UAP
get you
subject.
as a member,
It's
man.
quite funny, actually.
That would
Just
be
this
sick,
morning,
man. I would be putting in some
somebody in the
cool
Australian
shit on
media
that.
took the mickey on me in a column, suggesting I was getting into a kind of a wacky
Another viewer, welcome. Stay
conspiracy
well.
theory
Talk
by
to
getting
us
into
in
the
chat. Me and
UAP
Evan out here.
subject. And I pointed out, I'm actually very proud of what we're doing here on Reality Check at News Nation. And there's been a huge audience lift for News Nation, and this has been reported in the trade press, because of our UAP coverage. People want this. They're letting people know that they're interested in this subject matter. And it's interesting because politicians are starting to listen. It's impossible for the representatives and senators in Congress now to just ignore the UAP subject, as they have done for much of the last 50, 60 years. There is a turn happening, a change happening, and the best way you can help is by literally sitting down and writing a letter to your representative. Don't just write an email. Send a letter. It makes a huge difference. Put a stamp on it, send the letter, let your representative know that this is a subject you care about.
All right, we have a question coming in from Richard. Hi, Ross and Megan. Great weekly show you have. And I applaud the work that Ross does in the field, like right now. I have a
Thank you.
short question. How about the 2009 Michael Herrera story? I always thought he would have been a great candidate for a U.S. congressional hearing and spill the beans. But no, I haven't heard anything about him since he did some interviews on YouTube a while ago. Do you have any information on why this is? Thanks and greetings from Holland.
I believe the Michael Herrera story is true, an authentic account of what actually happened. And it's an amazing story. I actually suggest everybody, in fact, we should get him on Reality Check. Let's make a note of that, Megan. Let's get him on Reality Check.
Done deal.
I think it's a very important story. Mike was a Marine, a US Marine, on a relief during a disaster that had happened in Indonesia. It's a part of Indonesia which is a deeply spiritual part of Indonesia, and that's significant for reasons I'll explain. While his team
We are at 2
patrolling
viewers.
an
Welcome,
area of
what's up?
forest,
Stay
they
a
come
while,
across
talk to me in chat. Me and
black-clad
Evan
paramilitaries who are
are
American,
happy to
who are
talk.
immediately threatening and scary. They point their weapons at them and threaten to kill them. They disarm them. And then they're basically taken into a location where they see a gigantic craft that is hovering in an open clearing. And the interesting thing about this craft is Michael formed the view based on his understanding of what looks like prosaic human technology, that this was some kind of anomalous craft that had been built by humans, not retrieved alien technology. Obviously, it had the rivets, the seams, the look of a craft that had been built. And the implications of that are enormous. It suggests that there are contractors in the United
Evan, what are you
States
doing, man?
who have built this technology, which further goes to the issue of what I'm saying about Lockheed Martin. I will admit that before I heard the whole Michael Herrera story, I was skeptical. It just seemed preposterous to me, based on what my early sources had told me, that
I
the
agree with
United
Ross on
States.
Michael Pereira because, like, he saw a fucking blue alien with no ears. Like, that's so fucking out there. But so is Greer, right? Okay, you on the Discord? I'll get you rolled up. Give you the appropriate role, and yeah, there's some cool shit posted on there, which was done by my friend Jules. Really appreciate that. So we got the Discord out, and I should start posting videos and shit there as well. So yeah, that would be cool if we can get like that going, right?
Or should I say, sections of the private contractor aerospace establishment had made advances of such technological superiority that was so advanced that they were capable of flying a craft demonstrating some, at least, of the 5 observables that could fly certainly in Earth's atmosphere. The implications of that are extraordinary. And that was back in 2009.
How is the stream quality, by the way? Is it okay?
After the US
3 viewers right now.
incident.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Another
Yeah,
data
talk to us in
point
chat. Me
that
and
I think
Evan
suggests
busy
that there
talking.
is
Feel
a
free to
secret
join in.
history
The
that,
like
frankly,
button
I
is
think is
free.
being overlooked by
It
a lot
helps
of
a
the
lot.
UAP commentary community. It's obvious that there is allegedly sections of private aerospace in collusion with the US military and defense and intelligence community.
Fuck yeah, I wasn't
building
expecting that actually,
craft
but I'm glad
that
to hear
appear
that.
to be displaying the 5 observables, or at least some of those 5 observables. The big question is, how long have they had that technology? Now, Michael Herrera's experience suggests quite some time. It's an amazing
All
story.
viewers right
and I
now.
do
Goddamn,
commend
welcome
people
all.
to take an interest in his story.
Talk to
I
me in
think he's
chat. Where are you from?
absolutely
Tell me what's up.
dinky-die. He's telling the truth.
How'd you
Okay,
find your
Ross, well, as
live?
soon as we're done recording, I will try to book him for you. And if you don't mind, for the last question, I have my own question for you.
Sure.
I would love to hear your opinion on the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi's statement this week saying there was no Jeffrey Epstein black book and that he did die of suicide.
Look,
Jeffrey Epstein, always a fun
I
topic,
keep an
bro.
open mind on the Epstein case. I knew Virginia
Everyone's been
Giuffre.
going
I'm very
crazy, like
sad
they're
that
turning
she
on Trump,
passed
like
away and
Mudaha,
took her own life.
not that
She
ordinary
was
gamer. We
a
got
broken
Asmon. Jesus
individual,
Christ.
and she was broken because she was horribly abused. Her allegations are not fabrications, and it's terrible that a woman was hounded to her death because of horrible, malignant, ferocious people in the US establishment who didn't want their names revealed. I don't know if there was actually a list, and I suspect that when Pam Bondi made that, I think, perhaps reckless statement that she had the list on her desk, I think it's possibly an accurate representation of what she was really talking about, to say that she was talking about having all of the files relating to the Epstein case on her desk, because we knew at the time that the FBI investigation was still ongoing. In that kind of a case, I'm always inclined to assume a screw up before a conspiracy. That shouldn't let them off the hook, though, because even if there isn't a list of people that Jeffrey Epstein facilitated to have sex with little children, that should not stop the FBI from being forced to reveal what we do know exists, which are videos
That's facts.
and other
America's
documents that
transparency.
were stolen because they're not properly kept by the FBI. They were stolen illegally in breach of the search warrant and the way that the Department of Justice exercises its authority. Those tapes, the videos that were found in the Epstein house in New York, ought properly to be disclosed. And okay, it may very well be that they reveal child porn, in which case a notarized statement should be secured describing what they show, protecting the anonymity of the child, but making sure that the person portrayed in those videos is brought to justice. I honestly don't know why it's so bloody hard for somebody to do that. I do think it's possible that Pam Bondi is telling the truth when she says there is no file list. I think it might have been, how does one say this politely? It might have been a rhetorical flourish by people in the Republican Party during the campaign who were having a great time milking public outrage about the Epstein case. And I don't think they realized the implications of talking about a list of perpetrators when they knew they were going to be held to account in a new administration to actually reveal that list. And I think maybe they've been caught out in their own lie or perhaps their own exaggeration. But whatever the truth of the story, they must be held to account, because it's just as bad to withhold the other evidence that I have no doubt exists. We know is on the public record already. There are videos, and that's the more shameful thing, that the videos haven't been released. And for that matter, I noticed today it was reported that
3 viewers again. Welcome.
the
Please make sure
brother
to share.
of
Let's try and get it up to 6.
claims that he was never allowed the 9/11 call. And there's all the other things that aren't explained, which is the missing minute. People have pointed out that there's a missing minute in the surveillance video of the Epstein cell. I don't think we should
If
get
you have Twitter,
distracted
share
by
there and
the
use
possibility
hashtag UFO
that the
Twitter or some shit.
administration
That would be
frankly
sick.
bullshitted when it talked about a
4
list.
viewers. Holy
When in
shit.
fact,
Welcome.
what there is documentation, videos, and I'm sure other evidence that, if properly investigated, could provide a list of perpetrators. Let's not get distracted by perhaps needless, over-embellished rhetoric, which has misled the public, perhaps unintentionally. Maybe they all got excited. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of the detail. Let's ask the Attorney General to say what evidence there is that talks about perpetrators, and let's expose those perpetrators. It's not good for democracy to have what's happening at the moment, which is, I noticed somebody posted today an almost certain hoax onto Twitter, onto X, which basically asserted a client list. I don't believe it's a truthful, accurate document. But for heaven's sake, we know that there are perpetrators. We know
Did you
that there
guys
is
see
evidence against
Trump's
those
response
perpetrators.
to the
Name them.
Epstein question recently? Like, I was watching Asmund's reaction to that, and he was like, you know, if I was lying, I would do it like that, and I was really funny. He couldn't believe that people were still talking about Epstein, and he seems really fucking guilty when he talked about it. Like, of course, people are still caring about it because it's really bad shit that happened, and people need to have justice. I mean, America, right?
And shame them and protect the little children that were abused. It's not that hard.
Well said, Ross. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Megan. Oh, and by the way, if you do want to send us a question, you can always contact us at realitycheck@newsnationnow.com. Thanks very much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app
Hi,
right
viewers.
now on your
Welcome,
phone, and
welcome.
you will get fact-based, unbiased news.
So I'm gonna be ending it here. Appreciate all the love on this stream. Definitely gonna do it again. I would consider this one going really well. I'm gonna check out these stats after or later or whatever, but I appreciate it. Evan and Amy and everyone that showed up. So yeah, Discord, all links are in the chat. I will include it in the description. This was a good 41 minutes. I'd say really productive. Thanks. Gonna be playing some Dota. Message me anyway if you want to communicate. Yeah, send my daily uploads. This week's gonna be, I'm gonna see how that's gonna go for uploads. But yeah, goodbye.